Chapter 30. Steve looked at her as though she were mad. Fish, dummy. Of course I want fish, especially when I'm next to the sea. They've just been caught in. Do you want to eat here or head out? We're too far from anywhere good to walk. What's the chance of just staying here and watching the waves through the darkness? Steve wanted to know the score with her situation at home, but respected her wish to not push things just yet. He beckoned the barman, who was lurking on standby with a pair of menus. Eagerness was not a natural state for any Caribbean barman, except that there was a decent tip to be had, but the English visitors were staying for food, and it could be a profitable evening. He was not going to risk them changing their minds and going anywhere else through his lack of attentiveness. Even in the most relaxed places on earth, money still made things happen. A local band had started to set up in the corner. Not the best start to an intimate evening, especially when Steve spent his life surrounded by music. He couldn't tune out a band that was right in front of him and experienced too many bad nights in pubs when the management should have pulled the plug after the first chord. I hope they're not too loud. Isla interrupted his distraction. We can always move on somewhere else if you like. I'm fine, Steve, but I'm guessing you already hear enough shit music in your job, so you'll be less tolerant than me. She had him figured out, but they were going nowhere. They ordered food and another drink appeared without request. From the barman's point of view, they were on tab, so he was going to keep the drinks flowing. Right, now tell me, what really happened with your number in New York? Steve breathed a sigh of relief. He thought there was a tougher conversation about to happen. There was nothing to explain here. It was just a cock-up. Straight up, Isla. I left it there for you. Assuming your name is still Miss Isla Kelly. Steve, my name isn't Isla Kelly. It's Kylie. No wonder I never got it. You said it was Kelly. No, I didn't. I think I'm of sufficient mental competence to be clear about my own name, and come to think of it, I don't remember even telling you my surname. Isla put her drink down on the table, joined her hands, and adopted an upright pose that suggested something serious was pending. Steve considered it for a moment. She had never told him her surname. Steve thought about the mix-up and snapped his fingers, recalling that the hotel had connected her call as Isla Kelly the morning they had breakfast. So, what would have happened if you got my name right? Steve wasn't prepared for such a question, especially as the elephant in the room, the subject of Patrick, remained unsolved. I'll answer that one after you tell me about Patrick. I'll tell you what. Let's put all this talk of Patrick and whoever you've got waiting for your dumping text to one side, just for tonight at least. I hope this is not going to be our last night on Earth and we don't have to set everything straight, do we? I'm looking forward to my marlin and that cold white you ordered. I might even share my fish with you if you want to give me a taste of your barracuda. Suits me, and you're right. We have other nights for all that stuff. The island is beautiful, and just look at the stars that have come out to play. Tell me more about what's been happening with you. How many times have you been here, and what happened to your US roots? We met in September, right? I spent the first 2 months doing New York, Newark, Washington, and Boston. When hurricane season was over and the winter sunseekers migrated south, I came onto the Caribbean and Florida routes. It's a fantastic way to spend the winter, and I didn't fancy the whole -20 feeling of New York at that time of year. So, a long answer to a simple question, but it's my third or fourth time. I'm losing count of how many times I've been to places. You must feel the same. It is what it is, I guess. The novelty of it soon disappears. All that separates a good travel experience from a bad one is speed. Everything is always the same after the first few times. BA don't rejig their film or food selection every week, and one airport lounge is the same as the next. I just want to get there fast and without much engagement with other people. Don't get me started on people. When you get this type of job, you're employed because you say something nice about the passengers and how you like them and you're a people person. It means you can tolerate them enough to do your job. Have you any idea how often I'm chatted up by someone who has nothing to say beyond a boorish confirmation that they are important? They might as well ask their mum to give a character reference. So, given your considerable experience at men and travel, what is the best you can hope for out of a trip? Steve took the moment to watch Isla, watching him while she considered his deliberately leading question. She seemed to be struggling for the right words. Of course he hoped her answer would be, You, Steve, I want to see you on every trip. But the pleasurably tense moment was quickly interrupted before she was able to answer. Their food had arrived, accompanied by a new bottle of white, which sat on ice in the bucket between them. As Steve poured, he noticed Isla still attempting to start an answer to the question. However, this coincided with the point the band almost fell onto the stage for their sound check, and both immediately knew that Isla had been saved from needing to answer it. Steve was disappointed, but it would keep. They dived into their food as the sound check started, and by the time they'd finished, the band rolled straight into the first set without any kind of break, kicking off with a 10cc classic, The Dreadlock Holiday. Being a music geek, Steve chuckled at the appropriateness of the opening number, given that the England team were in town and the song was written about Eric Stewart and his experiences in Barbados. The lyrics were changed to make the location Jamaica. While not a date-worthy disclosure, he couldn't resist showing off his knowledge. I saw Hampshire play when I was a kid, but haven't followed cricket since. Why Hampshire? Well, it's where I'm from, Southsea in Portsmouth, right by the sea. I thought you were from London. Didn't you say you once lived near Cuba Libre? I love that place. I grew up there, and yes, I live above the restaurant. Have you been there recently? I was there a few weeks ago. Great cocktails, late licence, what's not to love? You mean to tell me you've been into my building in the last 6 months? After 3 months of missing each other across the east coast of America, fate had put them only yards apart on Steve's front doorstep. Those gods of possibility seemed to be desperately conspiring to make something happen.